champion! Champions of Europe finally! History made in Istanbul! The treble complete! The greatest story in club history has ended! And what a final chapter!
Hello everybody and welcome back to Typical City. Top of the league we go again after Liverpool somehow managed to go top of the league after their atrocious first half performance. Our first half performance wasn't atrocious, definitely wasn't atrocious, but it was certainly lacking in finishing. We weren't clinical, were we? I'll get onto that shortly, but we've got to start with Jeremy Doku. The man is just an electrifying, it's just oozes excitement, doesn't he? I'm so buzzing to see what the rest of the season is going to hold for Jeremy Doku. How far can this kid go? Because this is a 21-year-old lad, come from Rennes, joined from Rennes. Okay, the leap between Rennes to Manchester City is not a small one. It's a massive, massive leap. And then he's going onto the pitch away in the Premier League, scoring a goal after making a mistake, a big one, to give them the goal, effectively, with his poor touch out on the wing, but the head strength of Jeremy Doku to keep going, and he was going against Kovacic, he was getting tackled. Next time, he was beating him, but he never gave up, and he always tried to do something different and approached it with such a positive attitude, footballing positivity, that we don't really have that. I'm not saying Jack Grealish is a bad player. I know there's a particular follower of mine that we have a bit of beef with Jack Grealish. The people think I hate Jack Grealish. I certainly don't. I'm a big fan of Jack Grealish. I just think he's a completely different player to Jeremy Doku. And what he did today, you'd never see from Jack Grealish. Bursting in from the left wing, carrying the ball 30, 40 yards, beating his fullback, and then whipping it into the bottom corner. And we can't underestimate how good that finish was. A few of you in the chat already. Good to see you. TNT, Doku, man of the match for you. Gareth goes for Julian Alvarez. He didn't have a bad game, but I'll agree with TNT on that one. I think Doku gets man of the match for me. Allingsman, Rodri or Doku? Yeah, Rodri was class. Rodri was so good. Sasha in the chat, good to see you. Has to be Doku for his impact, although Rodri had a better all-round game. Issa says Doku's going to be so special, unreal. Totally agree, mate. Allingsum says Doku brings such a good energy to the team. David says Doku, man of the match. I think that's the common trend, seems to be Doku. Love Doku's performance. Says Unkenin Pano. Sorry if I've mispronounced that, mate. Songly Wright says Doku wanted to show he wants that spot. Absolutely, I completely agree. The whole game actually showed, and I can apply that same level of compliment to Erling Haaland. The head game, you know, you're having a bad day, it doesn't matter. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep getting chances. I'm going to keep making in those positions. Because Haaland, his finishing was atrocious. It really was. It was like 2 open goals. Now, that doesn't mean Erling Haaland isn't going to score. And why is that? That's because he's got such a head game. His head game is so strong. He does not give up. He will keep making those runs. He will keep making himself available for his players behind him to creatively find him. And eventually they did. And arguably, that was probably the hardest finish of the lot. There was a bicycle kick where he sort of side-footed and Areola saved it. I mean, I just love it. I love how much they just keep going. And Doku has done exactly the same thing. The ball comes to Doku, out on the touchline, poor control, really poor control. And at that point, we're out of shape. We're totally out of shape. And that's why I think Pep changed it at half-time, putting Foden out on the right wing rather than having him on the right and cutting inside to give way for Kyle Walker. I've just watched the goal back before I came back on, and I wanted to see how West Ham scored. And the counter, it came from Doku's mistake. That then urged Gvardiol to leap out of position. Kyle Walker's already on the right wing. He's well out of position in the right wing already, under instructions from Pep to be as far forward as he was. So that leaves Akanji and Diaz versus, I can't remember who brought the ball forward. Was it Bowen and Koufal? I ended up with 3-on-2, basically. It was 3-on-2, Akanji and Diaz being the two, totally out of shape. All they needed to do was drift to the back post. James Ward-Prowse drifts to the back post, where Kyle Walker would be if he wasn't so far up the pitch, which I like the tactic. It just really caught us out. In this particular moment, it makes you so susceptible to one mistake, and that's exactly what happened. drifted into the back post, good header from James Ward-Prowse, and you're thinking, oh shit, at this point, aren't you? You're going, oh shit, one of them days. We've just missed a goalmouth scramble where Haaland had, I swear, like every single City player was able to get a shot in at some point, but ended up Diaz heading it at Areola, who tips it over the bar, and then you think, okay, good, momentum. Erling Haaland misses an open net, and you're thinking, right, I'm hoping he's offside. Onside, shit, he should have scored that. Another open net where he gets it on target, in fairness to him, but it dribbles towards the goal line and it's cleared off the goal line, and then you're thinking, right, it should be 3-0. It should be 3-0, and you're thinking, I hope they don't score, you know, it's not going to be one of them days, is it? And then they bloody scored, don't they? You're thinking, oh no. But you have no doubts with this team anymore. The comfort I have going 1-0 down is rare now. I don't think many clubs can feel that comfort. It reminds me of United, to be honest, how they must have felt in the 90s. You know, when they'd go 1-0 down, you're just thinking, you know they're going to turn it round. You know they're going to turn it round. That's what they do. Under Ferguson, that's what they used to do. And that's what we're doing now. We're doing it. That team that at 1-0, it's like, it means nothing. It means nothing at the end of the day for the opposition. It means something to us. It kicks us into gear. But, I mean, fantastic from Doku. The attitude is what I really want to talk about. Quality was there. He was trying to beat his man more often than not. Almost every time he was trying to beat his man. Sometimes he didn't know. Koufal tackled him a couple of times. Sometimes he cut it back, and sometimes he beat his man. It was just the fact that he never gave up. He never gave up. And to have the balls to burst at his fullback like that and whip it in bottom left-hand corner, because he was walking off that pitch at half-time, head down, feeling sorry for himself. Rightly so, I understand. And he's shaking his head like, he must have felt gutted. Whether it's his own personal attitude or Pep Guardiola had the right words, the perfect words in the perfect order to say to Doku, go out, I know what you can do, and go out and show me. And he did exactly that and got us back straight into the game. Because that first 15 minutes of that second half, you're thinking this could be over before the 60th minute. The amount of chances and creativity we were showing was fantastic. I think the second goal was deserved. We deserved it. The momentum was well in our favour. The whole game, though, there was just that constant threat of Antonio and Bowen. I went into it in my preview that there is always that threat, and they don't just carry a goal threat in terms of just generally creating a chance. They can get into positions on the pitch that force us to lunge in and give away a free kick or a corner, and James Ward-Prowse then, he steps up as being the other threat for West Ham. And that threat was there today, and I wasn't expecting James Ward-Prowse to be the one who was actually part of a counter-attack and getting on the end of a cross. I wasn't expecting that, but it was those three that were always the main concern, and they were there. I think they're going to cause problems for teams, big teams as well this season. I'm glad that's out of the way. Tick. West Ham, London Stadium, done and dusted. Thank God, because that's going to cause problems for teams. David Moyes has got them playing reasonably well, and I don't think they had that right balance today, West Ham, albeit they lost 3-1. It is Man City at the end of the day. The quality shone through in the end. But for 60 minutes or so, I think their tactics were right. You know, they had the right balance of not being camped on the edge of their own box, but still offering a threat the other way. I think they got that balance quite right today. And I don't think luck played a part. We deserved to win. It's just quality in the end, shone through. But their second goal would, if you're West Ham, you're livid, aren't you? Agüerd getting underneath it like that with the most hopeful little chip from Alvarez. Really creative, though. Really creative to see the vision on the edge of the area, cluster of West Ham players in front of him. Bernardo Silva's just making a cute little run into a channel. Hopeful, really. You're thinking, give it a go, mate. You're not going to get it to him. And he tries a little dink in the air. You're thinking, right, this is cleared all day long. Little Bernardo Silva, he's like that big. Agüerd's bloody giant. He should be getting on that and bonking it out for a clearance. Doesn't. Woeful defending. Lands to Bernardo Silva. Really good bit of play. Cushions it into the far left-hand corner. Really good goal. I think Nunes coming on, good signs. I thought he looked good. He linked up with Bernardo Silva, his Portuguese camaraderie there, like linking up a little bit. I like the look of that. Looks good. Looked really good. Bursting forward. He actually played a big role in Erling Haaland's goal as well, which is fantastic for him to eventually get that goal. He deserved the goal. He was getting into positions to create them. And it was arguably the harder of all the chances he had. It was the hardest one, and he buried it. And it was instinctual, you know. It was that instinctive nature of Erling Haaland, just like one touch, bang, bottom corner. But don't underestimate Nunes' role in that goal, because it was Bernardo Silva bringing it forward down the right wing. And as he's approaching the West Ham defence, Nunes sprinting like a madman, comes down the middle of the pitch, charges and gets across the face of Bernardo Silva, which distracts Zuma and Agüerd. Agüerd and Zuma had Haaland covered. The 2-on-1, no problem in this situation. Nunes entering the scene, gives the centre-backs another person to think about, and that creates the split between the two centre-backs. Haaland peels away from his centre-back. Chaos. It's just caused chaos. Núñez running, that run, it doesn't do anything in terms of touching the ball, but it affects the West Ham's thinking, it affects their positioning, creates the space for Erling Haaland. Bernardo Silva slots it through beautifully. First touch, bang, bottom corner. Fantastic. Really, really good. To come back from another game as well, where we didn't come back, did we? But we were 1-1 against Sheffield United. So instantaneous turnaround that was. But this was a more of a real traditional comeback, going 1-0 down and getting all 3 goals in the second half. It just sends that another message to the Premier League as Liverpool go top, Arsenal yet to play. They're watching this, and before the game, they're thinking quietly, West Ham, problem. It's a big problem for City, this. Going into the game, which City fan wasn't thinking that? I was thinking it. I was thinking this is a problem. This is a horrible game to come back to after an international break. West Ham undefeated, momentum. They're still riding the confidence of the European trophy that they managed to win. But at the end of the day, it was just the quality. It was just the quality that shone through. A few of you in the chat as well, and commenting, sorry, I've been ignoring you. He said, Grealish sweating right now. Yeah, well, this is the nature of the beast, isn't it? And I don't think it's a case, maybe Grealish would have played because he was injured, wasn't he? I don't think he was dropped for today. Grealish might have started, but that's the nature of this game with Pep Guardiola. You get your opportunity and you take it. You have to take it. And Doku's taken it. He's absolutely taken it with both hands. He's put it in his pocket and said, Grealish, I'm zipping this pocket up, mate. You're going to have to work harder to get it out of my pocket, mate. You're taking his chance. Brilliant. Brilliant from Doku. Al-Haji says, Doku, Kyle Walker, Rodri, Alvarez, 4-4, brilliant. All 4 were really good. Kyle Walker's role change in the second half was key because that was a change that he made. Putting Foden on the right wing in the second half, it worked. It's so much better all of a sudden. Now, all 4 games prior to today, Kyle Walker's been given that licence to go up and down the right wing, and Foden's been inside, coming in from the right side, so he's been drifting a little bit. Foden's got that versatile, malleable role that he's got. Second half, back to the old ways, or when I say old ways, of last season, the way we traditionally played with 2 creative players, not a fullback who's pushing forward into the space, 2 creative players on the wings, and it was a right footer on the left and a left footer on the right, with Foden on that side, and it worked so much better. And not only did it work creatively going forward for City, but it also nullified counter-attacks a lot better, because in the second half, Kyle Walker wasn't well up the pitch, and anytime West Ham broke on us, there was no threat. There was a threat. There was definitely a threat, but it was nullified really well by Kyle Walker. Numerous times he was able to get back and stop the counter-attack. A couple of tackles I can remember from Kyle Walker, which is more the role I'm comfortable in seeing him, because I never once think, Kyle Walker going forward, I never think, this is going to definitely be a good cross whipped in. He's going to do something brilliant here. Kyle Walker's creativity is not his strong point. It's not his strong point. His crossing ability, not his strong point. He did do well against Sheffield United, got that crossing hard and low, but that's not his game. His game is shepherding full wingers, isn't it? Vinicius Juniors, Mbappe and Neymar, these types of players, all these creative Champions League standard of players, and making them look like children. That's Kyle Walker. That's what he's good at, getting back and defending. So it begs the question, are we going to continue with this tactic? Because it may be a situational or circumstantial situation where, depending on the opposition, could Kyle Walker play that role depending on the opposition, is what I'm trying to make, the point I'm trying to make. I think the second half was glaringly different. It was obvious comparative to the first half, where we were struggling and we were even more susceptible to the counter-attack. It'll be interesting to see if Red Star Belgrade next in the Champions League. That's not the opposition where you find your answers, is it? We should be beating them whatever tactics we play. You want to be looking at the Premier League side of tactics, which, by the way, I'm terrible with remembering fixtures. But in terms of who we got next in the Premier League, I'm sure some of you in the chat will beat me to it. But who've we got? Forest. So again, at home, not really a test. They're good, Forest, at the minute, but it'll be interesting to see if Pep goes with the Kyle Walker free role of going up and down the right wing, or Foden staying in that wide position. But the middle of the park looked good as well. I think that was Rodri was just fantastic, isn't he? He's just like player of the season so far. I mean, early call to give him that award yet, 5 games in. But so far, player of the season, Mr. Consistent, and what I like is he's got a new lease of life. He's almost been one of our most creative players yet still doing the other end of the pitch. He's a formidable player, isn't he, Rodri? He's just turned into like a world-class, maybe the world's best defensive midfielder right now. I can't think of anyone better than him, to be honest, right now in that position. And is he playing defensive midfield? He's arguably playing centre midfield. He is defensive midfield when we don't have the ball, but he's given that free role to go forward and be creative and get involved in the attacks. The amount of times that he was the pass in between switching the play as we prodded and probed West Ham's back line that was camped on the edge of their box at sometimes. To switch the play, it goes through Rodri. It wasn't always going through Bernardo Silva, who was good. He was okay, consistent Bernardo Silva. But Rodri was just the nucleus, wasn't he? The centre of everything today. And it all went through him, And that's just a role that not many defensive midfielders can do, and be as good as he is at breaking up play at the other end. It's a scary thought. It really is how good he is. And the fact that he's arguably not even at the peak of his career yet. Where he's entering it now. This is the year where he goes on and just becomes the Sergio Busquets of Manchester City. This is him now. He is that guy. He's that good. Who was man of the match, Alistair? In terms of officially, I don't know. I actually don't know. If you can answer that in the chat. Alvarez, Danielle and Sweet saying Alvarez was man of the match. Is that the official man of the match? I'm surprised at that. I think he played well. He's really good, Alvarez. Man of the match, I think Doku. It's a bit harsh not to give it Doku because of the goal, not just because of the goal. His attitude and the creativity, what threats that he offered going forward. You accompany that with the mistake as well, and it makes it an even better performance in a way. I know a mistake should really knock your score down, but I always love the bounce back ability of this team, and we've got it in abundance now. How quick we can bounce back within the 90 minutes, and it's just up here. It's just, you can't teach it, and you can teach it. It takes years of being with Pep Guardiola and just studying the way to strengthen your mind on that pitch and never give up. 1-0 down, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And not only does it have a psychological positive effect for City, the opposition know it as well. They know they're 1-0 up and it's like, it doesn't matter. In their heads, they're like, they're going to score at some point, aren't they? So I'll take the 1-1. David Moyes started to make the substitutions as well, that started to indicate that, right, I'll take 1-1 now, which is understandable. It's not no shame in that, considering they deserved to go, did they deserve to go 1-0 up? They were in the game, weren't they? They were in the game. I don't think they were offering the same threats that we were, but they were there, weren't they, West Ham? But David Moyes has definitely rectified his career. And one thing before I go as well, one moment in the game that we need to highlight that often goes underappreciated, Ederson's save from Kurt Zouma. The corner comes in, Kurt Zouma. This is at 1-1. We've just equalised. Kurt Zouma, bang, the cat killer. Fucking bang. Ederson, like a cat. Suck on that fucking Zouma. Like a cat. Reflexes, bang, round the post. Ederson, love it. What a save. Keeps us in the game. Shot stopping isn't really his strong point. That's not really his strong point. It is about the build-up play with Ederson. That is a lot of his game. But now we're adding the Champions League final save and this save today that effectively won us the game because it gave us the platform to go and get a second. Because 2-1 down, you're thinking, shit, we're pleased with a draw at that point, wouldn't you? But unbelievable save from Ederson. Unbelievable turnaround from City. I say unbelievable. Is it? I don't think it is anymore. I'm unbelievably pleased. I'm not unbelievably surprised. And it's getting that way now, isn't it? It's just a formality. I saw people talking, I can't remember where it was. It was a chatting website, YouTube. It was one of those multi-panel channels where there was a few guests on talking about City came up, basically. The impression that I got was, it's boring. City are boring now. We're boring everyone to death by just winning. And it's like, we've created an inevitability to the league. It's like City have gone 1-0 up, it doesn't matter, they're going to win, and it's just like, oh, look at that, City have won the game 3-1. But believe me, guys, they are waiting for the day we don't turn it round or the day things go wrong for us. They're waiting in the wings. They're all silent, they're under their rocks right now. Wait for those rocks to be lifted when we lose or draw a game and we drop points. They'll all come crawling out from the woodwork. They will. They're waiting. They've just been waiting for quite some time, so I think they're getting quite frustrated now, these anti-City folk. But let them wait. Breathe it in. City are just doing it again and again and again, and we're going to keep doing it again and again. And can you look past City for winning the league right now to performances like that? So we're not even playing as well as we can do, you know, and we're turning games around with just sheer quality. Moments of brilliance are winning us games now where we are not at our best, yet little flashes of quality and the game's finished, you know, in a blink of an eye, and it's fantastic. It's fantastic. It's such a relaxing feeling, which is a word I've never used as a City fan, relaxed, but it just feels that way. It's comforting to know, isn't it? But enjoy it while it lasts, Blues. Enjoy it while it lasts. Thanks very much for joining me in the chat. I haven't been active as I should be. Good analysis. Joining you from Dallas, Texas. Abdullah, good to see you, Abdullah. Gmav, Doku flashes brilliance, but he also has a lot to learn in terms of getting back to cover. Yeah, that one moment, there was a moment where he did cover really well, I thought. But yeah, he struggled to get back from the mistake, wasn't he? But he was 5-6 yards behind at that point. Sweet says exactly what I said about Doku. He's got insane pace. I wonder why he didn't utilise it in tracking back. Yeah, you've echoed Gmav's point there as well. Alina says Doku and Alvarez man of the match. Jeff says Susan was a beast today. Those who don't know, Susan is a nickname for Doku, as in Sudoku. Susan Doku. But yeah, Jeff, by the way, go and watch the watch along. Jeff in the chat needs to be heralded as a hero in this chat, because go and watch the goal for Doku's goal. He sent a super chat to me and said Doku to score straight away. 10 seconds later, Doku buries it in the bottom corner. And I know some of you are going to say, oh, big what, he got lucky. This is the second time he's done it. He did it for Cole Palmer. Like minutes before Cole Palmer scored that goal against Arsenal in the Community Shield, left corner flag, near the left corner of the penalty area, and he whips it corner. And he keeps doing it. It's mental, Jeff. There's something odd. Go and get yourself a lottery ticket, mate. Go and get yourself a lottery ticket, because you are in the money today. Yeah, Issa saying big up, Jeff. Your stream is awesome. Thanks, Alistair. Appreciate that, mate. Sweet, but Grealish tracks back. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't think we're not going to see Doku track back. I think he's going to... And if there are any moments where he doesn't, you know who's going to be the first one in his ear? It's Pep. He's going to be like, don't not do that. That's your job, mate. You get back, or Grealish is on. Grealish will take your spot back like that. And I don't care what you do going forward. If you don't do the hard graft, then you're out. And I think that's understandable. We've all heard the story of Thierry Henry, who was asked to play on the left wing when he played for Barcelona, and Pep was manager of Barcelona. We've all heard that story, how Thierry Henry was bored. He was bored, and he got stuck on the left wing, wasn't seeing any of the ball, so he took action into his own hands, went onto the other side of the pitch, got himself the ball, scored a goal, thought, Pep's going to love it. I showed him a bit of freedom, a bit of initiative, subbed, straight off, get off the pitch. You're not doing as you're told, get off. So I like that. That's authority. Good authority, you know, respectable, and players will learn from that. You know, it's not disrespectful authority. It's a case you didn't do what I asked you to do, so you've got to come off the pitch. It's not unnecessary harshness. It's a good standard to set, an example to set for the rest of the team. And Doku will learn if there are any moments. I think there were a couple of moments where I did see him tracking back, and there was a couple where I didn't. But he'll learn. He's just joined, you know. And I think the best thing I can say about Doku is the fact that he came back, scored a goal, showed his attitude was fantastic, as well as offering something different, something we don't have already. And it was clear as day. It was night and day, wasn't it? Jack Grealish versus Doku, opposing wingers, aren't they? Very different styles. But it's good. It's good. But thanks very much for joining me in the chat, guys. If you can drop a like on your way out, there's 120 of you watching right now. 50 of you have dropped a like. If you can bump that up a bit on your way out, it'll be hugely appreciated. It really does help the channel. Thanks very much for joining me in the watch along as well. I'll be doing the player ratings tomorrow as soon as I can. I wonder what Doku's number's going to be as well, because I'm going to provide some stats as well. I want to see his take on stats. That's what I'm interested in. Dribbles. How good was his dribbling ability? That's what I'm interested in. Tune in for that tomorrow. The watch along against Red Star Belgrade is next. And thanks very much for joining me in the watch along today if you did. And I'll see you in the next one.